Today's guest is a graphic designer and creative podcast specialist at Kitcaster. She uses inspiration and creativity to create fun visuals with an important meaning behind them. She is an expert at applying visuals into fun and effective marketing campaigns. Welcome to the show, Sam. How are you doing?
Hey, Toby. I'm doing great. I'm really happy to be here. I know we've communicated so much through work and just even talking to you prior to the show. I'm just happy to be here and happy to have a conversation.
Yeah, it's the same over here. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Mirror Talk. I'm so happy to finally be meeting with you. Like we've been exchanging emails over months right now, and like to put a face on that Sammy Lindy for me is like, yeah, finally I get to see your face. Yes, I'm so happy to meeting with you today, and I'm so happy to learn a lot about you, about who Sam is. So, is it possible for you to share a bit of your life journey so far? Like what
Yeah.
motivated you to become, a graphic designer and a creative podcast specialist at Kitcaster?
Okay, so honestly, I when I was really young, I always dabbled in art. So I was like constantly drawing. And in high school, I was working at a surf shop and I just was fascinated with graphics on t shirts. I was like, this is the style of art that I want to pick up, and I'm going to try my best to do so. So when I was younger, I essentially just like I would draw like very realistic animals and kind of do this weird. I would morph animals together, but it was like very realistic. And when I went to college, I was like, how can I make my dream come true? And I was like, okay, I need to major in graphic design. This is how I'm going to learn.
Mm,
And so I majored in fine art with a concentration in graphic design. And I just started to play around with different techniques and styles, and I kind of picked up my own thing. And I moved from a more realistic style of drawing to a more cartoon and graphic style. And my whole plan was, okay, I'm gonna design t-shirts, I'm gonna design surfboards, I'm gonna design skis. Like I just wanted to be in that realm.
mm,
And then um, college happened.
yeah.
And after college, I was like, what do I do? Like, I'm still kind of new to this thing.
Mm,
And I got hired to be on a marketing team to just do marketing collateral, which, like, to me, I was like, okay, it's creative and I can do this.
mm,
And I started doing it and it was like sucking the life out of
mm.
me.
Yeah.
And I kind of was in that moment of, I don't feel like this is feeding my soul. I don't know where my passion is. And I would, I was doing some things on the side that like I was making stickers and having art shows and doing all these things, but it was like a majority of my day and my mental capacity was going to my job and it was just killing me.
Mm,
And I kind of had this break where I was like, I'm going to quit my job and I need to go away for a second. I just
mm,
need to go.
yeah.
And I ended up taking a very long trip. I started in Peru
Mm,
and I ended up in Asia.
wow.
And it was amazing. It was like the most refreshing thing I had done in a minute.
Mm,
And I came back and I found Kitcaster. I came back from my trip, the pandemic hit, and I'm stuck in New Hampshire.
yeah.
And I was like, I need a job. In Asia, I had been working. I was a bartender, I was a DJ, I was doing all these random things.
Mm,
But it's like you come back and you're like, okay, I haven't been on a marketing team in a year
mm,
and I don't know what to do. And I got in this hole on Indeed and I found Kitcaster and I was like, I am not in the podcasting world. I don't know that much about it. I like podcasts, but I don't know. And I wrote them this really long letter about how I am all about connecting. When I think about podcasting, it's you are ripping away this like the surface level of how's the weather and things
Yes.
like that, and you
Yeah.
actually dive deep into who people are and what people are passionate about and
Mm,
what people care about.
mm,
And I moved back to Colorado. I got the job, and I started as a booking agent. I was helping people develop their own brand narrative and pitching people to hosts, and it was
yes.
amazing.
Yeah.
And then I started to just do more marketing for Kitcaster, and I began to switch. Like, I do a lot of design for them, and I handle a lot of their marketing stuff. And it
Mm,
has been amazing. The podcasting world is booming, and there's so many specific niches, and there's so much room for creativity. It's
yeah.
amazing.
And you've been doing a wonderful job with this, marketing. Like I can say that for myself because I've, gotten the opportunity to work with you before with, the booking and everything. It has been an awesome job so far. Thank you so much for everything that you do for podcasters and for, for guests and for the hosts and everything. Thank you so much. But for some out there who has never heard about Kitcaster, can you tell us about the podcast booking agency and how it works?
Oh, sure. Yeah, so we book people on podcasts. It is, we bring our clients in and we send them on a 3-month long podcasting campaign.
Mm,
And so it consists of 10 podcasts in 3 months, and we give them a media kit. We help develop their own personal brand narrative. We offer media training. We offer creative content. But we handle all scheduling aspects. We handle all outreach. It's a fun time. I don't know if you've had this, but we've been putting some people on our team on a podcasting tour just to kind of understand what our clients are going through, especially when it's your first or second show and there's like those nerves and kind of like, do I have my story down? Do I know what I want to say? And
yeah.
what exactly that feels like?
Mm.
Because we want podcasting to be fun, you
Yeah.
know?
Yes. Yes.
It should be a good time,
Of
right?
course. Of course. Of course. Yes. It has to be a good time where you could have, great conversations with people and, learn from them and just have fun also at the same time. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but no, that's what we do. And then if you continue to stay with us, we offer every month 3 podcast bookings. So it's a little bit like a subscription package.
Yeah. That sounds good. That sounds awesome. So I'd love to go back to your traveling. You traveled from, you started from Peru and we ended up in Asia. So yeah, can you share some of these, journeys that you've gone through before, and what are the benefits of traveling? Why is it important for us to travel?
Okay, yeah. So in 2015, I did a really big trip before this one. I went to Australia. I was spending a lot of time in Byron Bay. And then I had gone to Indonesia. I was supposed to be for a long weekend.
Mm.
I was going to go surfing, and I didn't tell anybody I was going.
Wow.
I was like, I'm just going to go. This is going to be fine. Volcano ended up erupting,
Mm.
and I got stuck there for a month and a half.
Wow.
It was raining ash. They shut down the airport. It was wild.
Wow.
But I met so many good people and people I still talk to today. And when I was kind of in this rut in my job and kind of really searching for that and like I needed a push in that direction. Just because like I was in a routine, I couldn't break the routine. I just needed a big shift.
Mm.
So when I quit, one of my friends was like, I'm gonna go live in Peru for a little bit. You should come visit me. And I was like, sure, okay. He's like, quit your job. I quit my job. I go to Peru, and it was supposed to be a surf trip there. And I just want to say, surfing in Peru, it is so cold.
I can imagine.
It was freezing, but we got there, and I had before I went, I had just finished. I got my yoga teacher training. I
Mm,
graduated, and I was doing a lot of self-reflecting.
mm,
I kind of realized different boxes I had put myself in, which
mm,
essentially was holding me back quite a bit.
mm,
And when I got to Peru, I felt so free. I had left a place I spent 5 years at, and I was in this place where people are all experiencing new things together.
mm,
And it's people from all around the world. And something that I found to be extremely beneficial was I think I had this fear of like really being myself
mm.
around people I would see every day. It's
Wow.
like
Yeah.
you have no idea how anybody perceives you.
Mm,
And the thought of rejection or not being accepted, it can make you put a wall up. And I got to Peru and I was like, I don't think, I don't know for sure if I'll ever see anybody again.
mm,
And it was the most freeing experience ever. It made me, I had no fear, no fear to like voice how I really felt
yeah.
and just show people who I am.
Mm,
And by doing so, I made some of the best connections of my entire life.
yeah. I mean, traveling, gives you the opportunity to connect with people, like also do some self-reflection like you did through yoga, and also become the best version of yourself or a better version of yourself.
Yes. And
Mm,
we did a bunch of hiking. It was until well, so this was like the beginning of like my big trip, and I had it was like the highest altitude I'd been, and I ended up I got very sick,
mm,
and I had to cut my trip in Peru short. My plan was to stay a little bit longer. I was so sick, I went home, and one of my other friends, I was like, what am I doing? I'm like, I just quit my job. My trip is messed up. I don't feel good. What am I doing? And one of my friends was like, do you want to come to Japan? And I was like, okay, I guess so. So we flew to Hawaii and then landed in Tokyo. And when we got to Tokyo, there was a tsunami and an earthquake in the same day.
oh man. What is happening?
And we got locked in our hostel for the first 4 days
Mm,
while we were there.
mm,
And I'm so grateful because everybody kind of consolidated in this main room. And I met some amazing people. We drank wine and ate dinner and had these great chats, and it just opened up Japan to me in such a different way. And um, I had met a lot of people who had lived in Japan for a very long time, and they brought me to all of these beautiful places, and we ate amazing food, and I I just was so grateful. It was like I saw some of the best art I'd seen in my entire life,
mm,
and it was extremely inspirational,
mm. Wow.
um,
Wow.
because I had been lacking that. There was like nothing was. I wasn't being creatively. I don't even know the word. I wasn't being stimulated in that way. And then it was like I got to Japan, and the art there is so beautiful. It is right up my alley. Like they have one of the first animal animals who have human characteristic illustrations,
Mm,
and that is my thing.
mm,
I love that,
mm,
and it was so great to see. Um, but then after Japan, I went to Nepal. I did the Annapurna circuit. It was a 19-day trek.
Yeah.
And then I went to Vietnam, and then I ended in Thailand, and I was in Thailand for a long time. My plan was to move there. I was working, and I felt like I had a family there.
Mm,
And COVID hit, and that was pretty crazy.
mm.
And things were getting shut down, and I came home. And now I'm
Yeah.
here.
Wow. So the pandemic caused you to come back home or to
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's sad. That's sad.
It was sad, but
Yeah.
I do think that everything happens for a reason. And
Mm,
I even think bad things potentially can lead to good.
true.
You have to kind of, there's always bumps in the road in your life.
Mm, yeah, that's very true. Which is a good thing because now you're right now sitting with me virtually, and we've been working months before now virtually, and if not for the pandemic, I don't think all of this would have happened or will be happening right now. So for that, I'm also grateful. I'm grateful that the pandemic happened and made you come back home.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm so happy to be here. It's great to have a conversation, and I know that we will continue to work together.
Yes, yes, I hope so too. So, from all your traveling, are you a collector of like items? Like, what are some of the best items or things that you've collected or experienced while traveling or backpacking?
Um, yes, I will say in the beginning, I collected so many things and then quickly realized I cannot carry all of these.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I was gone for about a year,
Mm,
and only a few things made it back with me.
mm,
And when I was in Vietnam, I found these postcards from a local artist, and they were a play on old school illustrations mixed with like a new school style. And I bought these postcards. I will send you a picture of them. They're
yeah.
so beautiful. It's of old women skateboarding,
Mm,
and I saw them, and I was like, I just felt completely inspired. The colors were so vibrant, and the graphic illustration is something that I strive for in my work.
mm,
And it was three pieces that really moved me.
mm,
So those made it back with me, and then I came back with a ring. It was a green ring that somebody had given to me in Thailand, um, just in terms of like, don't forget
yeah.
this moment. And when you ever feel, when you ever begin to forget, and it was like more of the sense of like when you forget your growth, it's
Mm,
like, look at this
yes.
and remember how far you've come.
Mm,
And I brought that back. And I feel like everything else is a memory. I had written in a journal every day while I was traveling. And sometimes I'll turn through those pages just to remember how I felt.
mm,
Especially, I mean, during the pandemic, you have those days where you feel so lost. You're like, what is this?
yes. Yeah.
Um,
That's
it's
very
it's
true.
always nice to look back and remember where you were at a year or so ago, and just remember like you had like the growth that you've come, the challenges that you've faced, and everything.
Yes, I like that. I like the fact that you're talking about that because that's something I'm beginning to learn actually. Taking pictures or collecting items from new places, it makes you remember like the memories from that place or how far you've come in life or what you learned, at that particular time in your life or phase of your life. That's one lesson I'm also learning because I used to not like to take pictures or collect items before.
Mm-hmm.
But then I started learning about this and it's just seeing items of where I traveled to, for example, and I can remember, oh, I can remember what happened to me when I bought this item. And that's very good. That's very awesome. Like it helps you to remember how far you've come in life, how far your journey of life has been. Yeah.
Definitely, because I think I think that's something that sometimes gets lost. In
Mm,
your day to day, you're so focused on something that is right in front of you. You're
true.
like, okay, I have to work. I have to maybe go to the gym, do whatever.
Mm,
But when you look back and you're like, okay, what was my thought process even
mm,
4 years ago?
mm,
And how has it changed today? And that was a question that I was asking myself quite a bit when I was traveling. I was like, well, what are patterns that you continue to repeat?
mm,
And why do you think that you repeat these patterns? And
mm,
then do you like them?
mm. Wow, those are deep
And
questions.
they're super difficult,
Wow.
heavy, I know, but
Yeah.
it it allowed for some extreme self growth.
Mm. Yeah, I like that question you asking me actually, because questions about pattern, like why do you keep on repeating this pattern? Why do you keep on repeating this behavior? Do you like it actually, or is it just toxic and you don't know how to get rid of it? Like all these questions makes me think sometimes and sit down and just reflect on life and find a way to save myself from anything toxic.
Totally.
Yeah, yes, yes.
Yeah. I mean, do you feel like you have certain, like, do you write or do you do anything that would like kind of like what do you do to kind of establish what patterns you have, or what's your outlet?
Oh, my outlet is, writing actually, but not writing like in the sense of journal or something, or
Mm.
writing poems, for example, or writing stories. But then I'm so discreet in the sense that I take everything I might be feeling and put them into different characters.
Cool.
Yeah, so when you read a story of mine, you might not figure out that it's from me personally. It might not be from me also, but a little bit particles of the way I'm feeling or what I experienced in the characters in my stories. And then when I'm reading myself, I could pick it up and say, yeah, that person was what this person is exhibiting in my story is actually what I went through, and what this is like, scattering it all around so that my friends can read it and not realize it. But when I sit and read it myself, I realize every character in this book um telling a story or telling a part of my story actually.
That is amazing. I want to read some of your stuff.
And now that I said it on this podcast, I've revealed my secret already. That's so bad.
Fair. Fair.
Yeah, but that helps me. That's like a very healthy outlet for me, I would say. But I'll also say it's not 100% all the time that it's about myself or anything. Like I also have wide imaginations too. So just let me put that in a mix too, so that
Yeah.
yeah, yes,
Very cool.
yeah. And yours is journaling, right? You journal and write every night before you sleep. You're
No,
writing.
I honestly I've lost it quite a bit, which I really want to get back into. I'm trying to make it a 3 month goal for myself, but I it changes for me. Sometimes it's drawing. Sometimes I'll think about illustrations that I want to get out. And
Mm,
a lot of my drawings recently have been about connection and how people crave connection.
yeah.
And then sometimes it's journaling. Recently, I've been doing a lot of hiking and trying to get outside as much as I can,
Mm,
enjoy the good weather. I think it's such a great way to clear your head.
yes. Yeah.
And I think hiking and yoga have been my outlet recently, just
Mm,
because I've been I I sit a lot. And I need that movement to just
mm,
kind of get everything in line. And
yeah.
sometimes my head will be racing, and I'm like, I need to move my body to calm
Yes,
it.
yes. Can you tell me about yoga? Because you're a practitioner of yoga, and
Hmm.
you have your license in it already. Like
Hmm.
yes. So now I'm so happy that you made mention of yoga now, like to help you relieve that stress of sitting down all day and working and thinking all day. So how can it benefit listeners out there? Like also, what's the best way of practicing it, and how can one get the benefits of
Hmm.
stress relieval from yoga?
Okay. I just want to say this because I feel like when I started doing yoga, I had this like, for so long I wanted to do it, and then it was like this intimidation factor for me. Like, I was like, I will never be that. I'm not flexible. I can't do that. And I just want to say yoga is for everybody.
Mm.
It is for everybody, let alone the health benefits that it has. I do think that it can really reduce stress. I was somebody who struggled with extreme anxiety, and I would not say that it is gone, but it is extremely manageable.
Mm.
And it has just having somebody tell you when to breathe can be like this extreme release for some people.
Mm.
And um, I think that a lot of, so I practice right now a lot of hot yoga. I do a power vinyasa flow, and I do it 2 hours a day, which is a lot.
Wow. Yeah.
But I think with the heat
Mm.
and breath work that you do in that, it can flush your system of toxins. There are so many poses to do to cleanse your lymphatic system.
Mm.
But more importantly, is that it can change the way that you think about yourself, the way you think about things in your life.
Mm.
It allows even just taking an hour to breathe and think about one thing. Like recently, I've been working with this mantra
Mm.
where whenever I have a tough time or even on my mat and
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like negativity comes in. I've been working with this thing and it is from a song. It's it's basically the idea of like, we will not make it not without you. And it's a little bit of me giving myself support, but at the same time, it's like whenever you have negative thoughts about yourself, and as soon as you start kicking yourself down, you're
Mm.
down.
Mm.
And I think that by practicing yoga, you really can show yourself some love, so much
Yes.
love.
Yes.
I noticed that it has helped. Um, I had knee problems when I first started,
Mm.
and I was a hardcore runner before,
Mm.
and I wouldn't stretch at all, which is so bad. And my knees were taking a beating, and this girl had said yoga would help, and then my knee pain slowly went away,
Mm.
and I just noticed it was like anxiety attacks were just not as intense. And that's what made me coming back. I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I can function. I'm not in a complete panic.
Mm.
And it is the most like, I feel like whenever I'm stressed or anything, I could go do yoga and it's like someone's popping me like a balloon.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. That's a wonderful feeling. I can assume. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, do you do yoga? What do you do?
So I have some like workouts that I do at home.
Uh-huh.
But then of recent, there's an app I use for it to do practice. Like there are some routines I do every day and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then of recent, I found out that some of the workouts are actually yoga positions also. Yeah, I was surprised. Like I didn't know I was practicing yoga in some form or doing some things. But then I was reading about yoga because I spoke with someone on this podcast too about yoga. And I was like, oh, let me find out about what this yoga is and what are the positions for yoga.
Mhm.
Then I found out that, oh, I'm doing this actually. I do this every morning. I do this like some stretching and some. I'm like, oh, but it's called something else, but it's exactly the same position, the same way of doing it. So I practice it a little bit. I would
Mm.
admit now. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like there are certain poses that like I said, like will cleanse your lymphatic system or even just like help your digestion. And this
Mm.
just is like something that I think that your body needs sometimes,
Yes.
especially if you're somebody that just doesn't feel very good.
Mm. That's true. Yeah, I would admit to that. Yes, it really helps. It really helps to make you better mentally, physically, of course, and yeah, emotionally too. It makes you stable in every area, I assume. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I would love to really get from your traveling experience. Like, yeah, I still have some questions to your traveling. Yeah.
Sure.
So from you traveling all around everywhere, what are some, traveling tips that you could offer me or the listeners out there?
Okay, some traveling tips. I am not a planner.
Mm,
And I think one of the biggest tips is um, at least in my trip, I did not plan anything
mm,
at all. I was very like go with the flow. And I highly recommend that. I feel like I have been recently, when I talk about traveling and other people have told me that they want to do that, I everything is planned to a T. It's like we're gonna do this on this date. I just I would not plan super strict ever because I feel like that leaves out any room for a spontaneous moment. And to me, the biggest highlights when traveling are those spontaneous moments.
yeah.
It's like that random conversation you have, or um, just maybe you'll meet people and they'll invite you somewhere else.
Mm,
Um, Another tip that I thought was really important, and I wish I had done it sooner, was ask if you're on a budget, ask hostels if you can work.
oh,
I
okay.
in Peru, I was teaching yoga for a little, and then in Thailand, I actually just started working at a bungalow,
Mm,
and I ended up bartending, and then I met this band, and it was just like all this networking stuff, and I DJ'd a little, and it was amazing. And I ended up getting, so I would work and I got to stay for free,
wow.
which was really nice.
Yes.
Um, and it's a great way to meet people that way. You can meet locals and just get an overall vibe of a place because um, sometimes I think you can look up what to do, but sometimes it's very touristy and you don't get a full immersive experience.
That's true. Yeah, that's very true. But sometimes traveling means pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. Like for example, if I have to travel now, for example, I have to leave my comfort zone right here, my what I'm used to or familiar with. But if you could convince me, like what are some benefits of leaving our comfort zone? Why should I leave my the comfort of my home to travel to somewhere I don't know or yeah, I've never been to before?
Um, I think I think I would start with, where do you feel like you want to grow in your life?
Hmm.
Because I think as soon as you break down that wall and put yourself into an uncomfortable space, that's when growth starts. And maybe you don't even know that you need to grow,
Hmm.
but by being in an uncomfortable situation, a thought could arise. You could realize what you're lacking in your life. There is like a wide range of potential things to unfold as soon as you break that.
Hmm.
And I think that I do think that life goes in waves, and any uncomfortable situation,
Hmm.
in the end, even if it's terrible,
Hmm.
you are going to leave that with some sort of growth,
Hmm. Yes, that's true. Wow.
right? Like, I just think, I think mental growth is like a very important aspect of just progressing through your life.
Mm, yes. So when you put yourself in a very uncomfortable place, you get the opportunity or you provide yourself with the opportunity to grow, to expand a little bit more, to maybe get rid of some things that you're not that no longer work for you, for example, and
Hmm.
maybe acquire new things that could make your life better or take you to the next level of your life.
Yeah, and I think in terms of traveling specifically, it really opens up your mind.
Mm,
Because I think sometimes you get in a routine, you could just really put yourself in a box. Like,
yes. Mm,
you're like, I am this person. But in reality, you don't have to be that person. You can be whoever you want.
of
And
course.
I have noticed it in just being back in Colorado and the United States in general.
Mm,
It's like I have been avoiding putting myself outside of my comfort zone. And even having this conversation, I'm like, why do I not do it? Like, I
mm,
want to grow. I I want to change my routine. I went to a yoga class last night, and the teacher was talking about perception and how whatever your perception of any situation is,
Mhm.
um, it leads to you creating your own reality. So if you have this like negative perception, then maybe your reality is really negative. You are focusing on these really bad things and stuff like that. And she was like, but when you can make that shift, um, you can begin to live your days differently and stuff like that. And I don't know, just to like revert it back to a challenging situation. It's like, what's your perception on that?
Mm. Yeah, yes. Are you asking me my perception on?
Yeah, like if you were to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, are you
Mm.
going to go into it being like, oh my god, this is so uncomfortable, or could you go into it being like, I'm going to learn something about myself here?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, the former me of previously, I will be like, oh my god, can I avoid this? Like, I don't want to go into this uncomfortable situation. But now, like, with the growth that I've been blessed to acquire or to experience, I would say, yeah, this is a challenge that I would love to see and come out from, as a better person, or as as a much more improved person. I'm looking forward to learning something from this uncomfortable situation. So that's what I'm going to like. If I'm confronted with being in an uncomfortable zone right now, that's what I will say. I'll be like, yeah, let's do it. Let me see
Yeah,
how become a better person from this situation, or what can I learn from it? Yeah.
definitely. Do you
Yes.
feel like has there been like a moment in your life where you feel like you realized that you were in an uncomfortable situation and you did something that like made you grow and you take it with you now?
Yes. I mean, there are various phases in my life where I had to do uncomfortable things. Like, for example, I am originally from Nigeria, Africa, and I had to, leave my comfort zone of my parents and, come over here to study for my bachelor's and my master's.
Mhm.
And now I'm still here. I'm based here, and I'm used to it. It's like it feels like home here in Germany. So that for me at the initial stage was like a very uncomfortable thing to do. Like leaving what
Mhm.
is so familiar to me to a country where I don't even know their language and I don't know anybody. And that for me was a very, very uncomfortable thing to do. But I did it, and now I'm taking the lesson with me, like being independent, being far away from family, and being able to still uphold the values and the qualities that you want to uphold. That for me is something I'm still holding on to. Yeah.
Yeah, and it, it's like it shows your strength,
Yeah.
like and how I mean, look at you. You've like made a home for yourself, and that just it's being alone is scary.
Yeah.
It's so scary.
That's true.
Um,
That's true. And it also shows your weaknesses too. Like
for sure.
at different phases in my life, I'm always like, oh, so I am this weak. Or I need so much attention this more, or I need this, or I need that, or oh, this is me, this is who I am. Like it's reflects like being in uncomfortable situations, like you said, like it's just brings out who you are to you, like tells you, okay, these are your strengths and these are your weaknesses. This is what you are good at, and this is maybe what you have to work on and become a better person in that area. Yeah.
No, I agree.
Yes.
Everything is work in progress, right? Like everything. You're not the
Yes.
same person you were 4 years ago, and you're definitely not the same person you were yesterday.
No, that's true. That's what makes life fun, right? Growing and yes, becoming better every time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And earlier you were talking about you meeting with people, connecting with people, and you're speaking with complete strangers. Did you ever come to a point where you got so vulnerable with a complete stranger, maybe in a very foreign land, for example, and you just you needed that that connection, you needed to be vulnerable. So have you ever had that kind of situations before where you are so vulnerable with a complete stranger, or you had a vulnerable conversation with a complete stranger?
Yes.
Wow.
I Okay, I want to say before the pandemic,
Mm,
I was like, I would do that all of the time. I feel like I, to me, if I'm gonna have a conversation with somebody, I want them to, I want them to know me.
mm,
I I want to have something meaningful, and I definitely really realized that I had this in Thailand with some people that I had met. I kind of got into, I don't know, I got into some, I got into a weird space where I was uncomfortable and
mm,
I ended up by myself.
mm,
And I had met the owner of a bungalow. His name was Soon, and he pulled me aside with this man named Art and this man named Not. And I was freaking out. I hadn't talked to anybody in a really long time, and I honestly, they just pulled me aside and they said, "Are you okay?" And I started crying. I had never talked to them before at all, and I just like needed somebody to ask me,
mm,
"Are you okay?" And um, they were like, "Okay, you're not okay,"
mm.
and they had asked me to stay at this bungalow I was staying at. It was kind of like on the other side of an island where not that many people were.
Mm,
And I was like, okay, I'll stay. And I kind of spent the whole day with them. I helped them with feed some chickens. I was like cleaning up the bungalow. I was just kind of hanging out.
mm,
And my friend, Not, it was the first day I met him, and he said, do you want to go to the beach and like help me practice English, speaking English? And
mm,
I was like, okay, yeah. I was like, we can do this all of the time. I I'm down. Like I
mm,
would love to help. And uh, that day we went to the beach, and I just was telling him about my trip and kind of the roller coaster it had been.
mm,
And I started working at the bar that he had worked at, just kind of to hang out. We would go at sunset. I would go to the bar, and it started me just being there, and then I just ended up working.
mm,
But he said this to me, and it made me really understand connection and vulnerability. And he said, even though I don't understand what you say sometimes, he was like, I can understand how you feel through your eyes.
mm,
And I feel like that is something that I'm like very aware of now after leaving is somebody can say something,
mm,
and even it's not even if I don't understand it or whatever, it's I don't even know if that is even the correct way to say it, but I do feel like people's eyes show their true feelings.
yeah.
It's like you can smile with your eyes, you can show sadness. Like I could say something very happy, but I could have sad eyes.
Mm,
And I think being very aware of that is something that I definitely am more cognizant of.
mm. Yes, yes. And it also comes with with its benefits, like, being just vulnerable with strangers. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I I feel like I when I started traveling, it was more of like, I'm going to be vulnerable with everybody because I have no fear. I have
Mm,
no fear. I don't know if I'm going to see them again. And if not, okay.
yeah.
And I, I had a lot of very deep, meaningful conversations with strangers and the people that I ended up having these conversations with, I
Mm,
feel like made a very big effort to stay in my life,
mm,
which is amazing.
yes, yes. Wow, that's
It,
good.
yeah, it creates a closeness.
Yes. Yeah, being vulnerable with people, creates that bond, that friendship, that quality relationship with them also. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And um, I think sometimes I've just been experiencing it now is that I feel like I've been less vulnerable with people that I have been meeting. And I don't know if it's because of COVID
Mm,
and being in lockdown,
mm,
or if it's me being back in the United States and there's like this weird, I don't, I feel like sometimes people are not as open here, which is a bummer sometimes.
yeah.
It's like this taboo to be your complete self right off the bat.
I understand that. Yeah, which is something we have to learn actually, or tell other people like it's good to be vulnerable. It's good to let go of that fear, and just just let it go. Let's be.
Yeah. It
Yes,
takes so much energy to put on a front.
you're right. That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yes. But I think for you, because for you it might be easy because you're a connector, and that's where your passion lies. How do you connect with people? And are there like some tips for we out there who find it very difficult to connect or to be vulnerable with other people? Are there like some tips on how we could select and how we could successfully connect and communicate with people?
I think the first thing that's really uh, one thing that I think is very important when you want to connect with somebody is you have to be in tune with your own emotions and how you feel.
Mm,
I think actually understanding who you are as a person
yeah.
makes it a lot easier for you to be vulnerable with others.
Mm,
And when you feel confident within yourself and you portray that to others, especially when opening up about something that maybe is like kind of emotional, I think other it will make other people feel um, close to you, but also confident within themselves to share something with you.
mm,
Um, that's a really big tip for me, and I think just holding back from fear. It's like I think with vulnerability, there's like that fear of rejection because you're ripping down this wall and you're showing somebody your truest self,
mm,
and by doing so, it just like opens that door for somebody essentially to push you while you're down,
yes.
and or just push you down in general. But I feel like you have to just sweep that fear away,
Yeah. Yes.
and there's a big reward there because you can create long-lasting connections.
Mm, yes. And that leads me to like to want to know like what's the importance of creating connections, what's the importance of creating communities and having this stable sense of community. Why is it important for me to connect with people?
Oh my gosh, I think community is the most important thing.
Mm,
Like personally for me, I could have nothing, but if I have a strong sense of community,
mm,
I feel happy.
mm,
I feel supported. And I noticed while I was traveling that sense of community it's like a family.
yeah.
It's like this family that supports you and will creates warmth.
Mm,
And um, I think it's something that people might not be aware of, but I do think it really helps in creating a happy life.
mm,
Um, and I think being aware of who you allow in that community is also extremely important.
mm,
It's like if you're surrounding yourself with people that uh, you cannot be your truest self with, then I think that also causes some problems um, in terms of just like you growing. Yeah.
yes, yes. Like you might have nothing. Like I like what you just said, and that was what I learned from it. Like you might have nothing, but if you have a community, a very strong community, you have everything because you have people around you who could support you through different difficult situations, could do things for you that money cannot afford or you cannot buy with money. Yes, and get help that you cannot get with just your dollars or your euros or your pound sterling.
Yeah, because like I even when I look back at my travels and stuff, I feel like my highlight moments are less about the um, places I saw, but more about the conversation I had.
Mm,
And those are things that I feel like I will remember forever and I will hold so close to me because it was such like a molding point in my life. Like
mm,
I when I was doing all this self-reflecting, just like talking to somebody about how like I perceive myself and just so many things that I just was like, wow. And I honestly I miss it quite a bit. I when I moved to Denver, it was during the pandemic, and
mm,
I know some people from when I was younger, but I'm a different person now. So it's like now that I live here, I'm still trying to kind of establish that closeness and that sense of community here.
yeah.
And with COVID and stuff, it's definitely been a challenge because my bubble is so tiny and I want to be able to feel very, I want to be able to be myself.
Mm,
And so even, yeah, just like talking about this made me like really like, I'm like reminiscing on some very good connections I had.
yes. It's time to reconnect with some of those people again.
Yeah, for real, I'm gonna have to do
Yes, yes.
that.
Yeah, which I find also as a challenge for me, like keeping in touch and staying connected. It takes that extra effort. Like, you get into this routine, like you said earlier, like you have this routine, these day-to-day things that you place before you, and that
Mhm.
way sometimes some connections just fall off. But I think, yeah, one has to take that conscious effort to stay connected with people, especially people that mean so much to you or have helped you so much, or you know people that you've been vulnerable with or had so deep conversations with before. I think
Yes,
yes, yes, it's
yes.
yeah. I'm speaking to myself also, like
Yeah.
yes, yeah. So as a closing remark, I would love you to share some secret sauce to life that you know about, like from yoga, from your illustrations, from music, from traveling. I mean, you are so diverse. You have so many things that you do. So from all of these practices, like, what are some secret sauce to life that you know?
Oh, my secret sauce to life right now, I think, is being really being aware of your intuition.
Mm,
Like taking a second to breathe and acknowledging how you feel mentally and physically.
mm,
And really honing in on that. I think your gut is some of the most, that is the thing that is all telling
yeah.
in any situation. And I feel like another secret sauce
Mm,
that I think should be sprinkled everywhere
mm,
is um, being very like happy and confident within yourself
mm,
and pushing all self doubt aside
yeah.
because that is only your perception.
Wow. Like being happy and confident about yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm taking that home from this episode. Thank. Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. So what's the best way to work and connect with you, for example? Like, what's the best way to connect with you? For example, if someone wants to get some illustrations done, some stickers, some
Oh.
animation, like what's the best way to connect with you and work with you and get some things done?
So the best way to connect with me is through email. My graphic design email is just samlindydesigns at
Mm,
gmail.com.
mm.
And my website is just samlindy.com. But if anybody has any podcast questions, you can contact Kitcaster or you can email me at sam@kitcaster.com.
Awesome. So I'll place all of this information in the show notes of this episode, and I'll encourage everyone to get some illustration work, some artwork from Sam, and also if you're interested in podcasting, being a guest, being host or something, get across to Kitcaster or directly to Sam to yeah, get some connections. That would be so great. Thank you so much, Sam, for this awesome moment. Thank you for everything I've been able to learn from you. And thank you so much for everything that you've been doing for me personally, off off camera and everything. Like, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on the show, Toby.
Awesome.